Ask a Fluxer, or Fluxxpert, as we like to coin ourselves, for Q&A. The first session that we are going to be going over is a 30-minute session, and it's simply an opportunity for you all to ask questions on anything and everything, reporting to our experts here at Flux. So today, I want to introduce our crew that will be helping us all out. I am Sean. I am also the voice of our training webinars, so hopefully you don't get too tired of my voice. But we also have Carly Benkov, one of our senior builders, Katina Frey, one of our very multifaceted, talented senior members of many different aspects, and of course the one and only Tom Snyder. There's no words that I can help describe Tom. He's a good guy and very knowledgeable all around. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tom, Carly, and Katina, you all want to say hi?
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, guys.
Happy to be here.
We're excited to have you join us today. Try not to stump us too hard.
All right. So, again, this is our first iteration of this. So I appreciate everybody's patience. If we run into any hiccups, we're going to keep rolling through. But what we're going to have you do is any questions that you do have, there is a Q&A section on this webinar. You'll go ahead and add your questions to that. We will be fielding those questions, and our Fluxer will be able to answer those as you guys enter them in. So at any time, go ahead and enter those in. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a couple of the questions that have been submitted ahead of time. So I really appreciate everybody's pre-submitted questions. So let's get started with that. Well, before we do that, I take it back. So I'm going to want to cover the basics of what we're doing here. So we had a ton of hands-on content at Ignite. So hopefully everybody who was at Ignite had a great time, and those who didn't have a chance to join, you get a little bit of the Ignite through these training and Ask a Fluxxpert webinars. But we wanted to kind of continue that and design a program that would make sure that we keep the ball rolling with the momentum we had from Ignite. So hopefully you've been able to keep up with the content from each breakout session at Ignite that we've been posting in the community site. These Q&A sessions are designed to be a follow-up to those posts and then give you the opportunity to ask questions that you have on these 4 topics that we see here. So we'll be covering documents that matter, how to manage your documents in Flux, word is the word, palabra, the possibilities with the Flux word add-in, and then, dear Fluxer, it's time to step up your letter game. So we'll be covering kind of some questions around letter building in Flux. And then the coding letter writing. You can become a master of the liquid code editor. And again, all these presentations that were in Ignite can be found at our community site at community.flux.io. So with that, let's get into some of the questions that were submitted here. So first off, we have a question that was submitted. Are the document types I configure on grant request available on organization records as well? So Katina, what are your thoughts around that one?
That's a really great question. So when it comes to document types, they are placed on specific models. So grant request, organization, reports, each of those are model types. The document type is available for the entire model, but they are not available across models. So the answer to this question would be no. If you have a document type on a grant request, you will not see that on the organization model as well. You would need to create that document type again on the organization model type within your admin panel, following the same steps that are in the presentation that you can find on the community site, but on the organization model instead of the grant request.
Great. All right. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Katina. Let's roll into the second question here, which is, it looks like they've read the slides, but can we explain more how I know whether I should create a letter or create my letter in Word or the Flux editor? Let's see. Tom, what are your thoughts on that one?
So when you're thinking about whether you want to use Word or the Flux editor using Liquid, you really want to think about when you're first starting to create this document, how many post-generation edits you want to make, or what are some of the constraints you know you're going to need for that document. In that case, if you're trying to make it conform to, say, some like foundation-wide, like how it looks and how it's sent out to grantees or whatever staff, you want to try to use Word add-in. But if you're trying to make a more complex letter that aggregates a lot of data, does a lot of subtotaling, or uses some of your calculated fields on the record request itself, then you want to think about using Liquid instead.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Tom. So before we get into some of the other two questions that we have pre-submitted, just want to remind everybody to use the Q&A section to enter the questions that you have. We are ready to take on and field your questions. So thank you all. Let's keep the ball rolling and get into number 3 here. It says, do all users in our site need the Word add-in installed to generate and open documents in the document component? That's a great question. Carly, what are your thoughts around that one?
Thanks, Sean. Yeah, that is a good question. And during the session at Ignite, we went over the steps that you need to do to actually install the Word add-in. But the caveat there is it's really only the administrator who's going to be creating the documents that needs to install the Word add-in. So any of the other users who are going to be inside Flux, who might be either generating a document inside of Word or opening one of the documents that has been generated with Word, they actually don't need the add-in. The add-in is specifically only for the person who is going to be creating the template.
Great, good to know. Thank you very much, Carly. Let's jump in to the 4th question that we have here. Do I have to know HTML to use the Flux editor? And that is a great question. Tom, master of all HTML. I think the T stands for Tom in HTML. What are your thoughts on that one?
This one was actually asked a couple times at the Ignite conference as well. But my answer to that is not really. You don't necessarily need to know HTML when you're starting to be able to utilize the Flux editor, although it definitely will help you to be faster and more efficient. At the Ignite conference, I definitely suggested, hey, it really wouldn't hurt to go out and take an HTML CSS class, but it is by no means a requirement or necessary for you to use the Flux editor in Flux.
So mastering your craft, while it is not a requirement, with practice makes perfect, and the more practice you have, the more efficient and effective and creative you can get with your coding. So
yeah, and like just to compound on that, like there's a lot you can accomplish just with some like Google foo. You may need to like look a little bit further, but you can utilize the magic of the internet to help you out a little bit to get a little ahead. So if you can find it, you could probably utilize it to help you with your letters.
That's a great point. So phoning a friend, and that friend is the power of the internet. So very cool. All right. So let's keep it moving here and jump in and open up the Q&A. So what questions do you guys and gals and everybody has out there that our Fluxxperts can answer for you? I'm going to take a look here. I just want to make sure, is everybody able to access and submit a question in the Q&A? If you're having any issues with that, you can also use the chat function within the Zoom, and we can take a look and see if there is any issues that you guys are running across. All right, so let's take a look here. We have a question from Jamie saying, I have everything built in Word currently, and I'm debating whether to rebuild them all into Liquid code. Is it worth the time? That's a great question. So, Carly, what are your thoughts on that one?
Sure, yeah, that is a great question, Jamie. And I think a lot of people are struggling with that as well, especially because not all of this functionality was available when everybody first went through their implementation. Perhaps all of the letters that you had when you were going through implementation were built with Liquid, and now, excuse me, there's a truck going by near my house, and now we have the Word functionality. So people are debating, should I implement in the other one versus the other? And it's really building off of what Tom was mentioning before in terms of what are the pros and the cons of the two approaches. So I would think about, are there any gaps in what you have built in Word right now? Are you struggling with anything related to that? And then maybe the Liquid version could be better. But I wouldn't say that one is definitively better than the other, and it would be worth it to rebuild them all from Word into Liquid. If anything, I think people are more excited about Word than they were with Liquid before, and a lot of people are wanting to switch their stuff from Liquid into Word moving forward. So, is it worth the time? Maybe try one and see if you prefer it. And I think that some of the decks from the Ignite conference have some of the details of the pros and the cons of the two different versions.
Great. That is a great point. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of heavy lifting if you want to overhaul everything, but it may not be required. Just kind of depends on what you're looking to pull out of it. So thank you, Jamie, and thank you, Carly, for the question and answer. Let's take a look at a next question here. And again, thanks for your patience. We're kind of filtering through these, and we'll see what we can report back here with. All right, so the question we have from Paul is the Microsoft Word plugin limited to only generating documents like award letters, or can it be used to migrate existing Word documents from grantees to populate fields during the proposal process? That, Paul, is a great question. Let's see, Katina, can you go ahead and help shed some light on this one?
That's a great question. I had to read that one a couple times to really make sure that I understood. And Paul, what I'm understanding is you're asking if we can use Word templates to populate fields on the request form. And the short answer to that is going to be no. Currently, the Word add-in is only available to generate documents. We cannot reverse that to take fields or take information that's entered into those Word templates and populate it back into the form. What would need to happen for that would be an import, which goes way outside of the scope of documents and templates and generation. So if that's something that you're looking at doing on a mass scale, I would encourage you to reach out to the support team or talk to your CSM about that. But if you're looking at doing that one grantee at a time based on information that they fill in, that functionality currently does not exist. But that's a great question.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Paul, for the great question, and Katina for the clarity on a great, very complex question there. But let's keep it moving here. Looks like we have one from Nicholas here. What can be created in Flux letters, but not in Flux emails? All right, Tom, what are your thoughts on this one?
So in this particular case, the differences between Flux letters and Flux emails is very subtle. Flux emails generally point to a single card. They pull data from in the system, just like any letter template would. So there's a lot of things you could do in Flux letters that you could do in emails. The reality behind it, though, is that the two serve different purposes. So if you wanted something that pulled dynamic data to present to the grantee as a letter format for them to like sign or use DocuSign, you could do that. Flux emails really do a lot of the similar pieces that they do simply because they utilize liquid code just to be utilized and sent out to the grantee. So they're both dynamic formats. They're just used for different reasons. So the short answer there is not a whole lot is different between the two. So if you wanted to pull certain things into your email, you could, such as pulling data from your reports, so on and so forth, as long as you knew what needed to go into that letter to be able to, or rather to that email to be able to produce that data. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Tom. That was really good clarification. The other interesting thing that will be getting posted later is the advanced email session that'll be getting posted into the community. One of the other interesting tidbits between the two is you can actually, in the emails, you can add the templates based on the document type to attach to those emails. So when the emails are sent, your letter template also sends as well. So that's another slight difference, but an adjustable use term for those.
That is a great point there. Great to hear. And again, there are some upcoming sessions that will be posted into the community site. So everybody who has joined that community for the Ignite group, you'll be able to see all the different contents. So, and you're very welcome, Nick and Paul and Jamie as well. So let's see here. What else do we have out there? So again, just as a reminder, if anybody has some pressing questions, you can go ahead and use the Q&A or the chat, whatever is easier for you. But go ahead and enter those in. Well, so we don't have any open questions at this time. So I'm going to just give it a moment or two just in case someone's typing out. No rush. Just want to make sure you have a chance to enter your question in. All right. Well, it doesn't look like we have any further questions coming in, which is, that's fine. We will take a look at moving on, and really wanted to thank everybody for the time and the questions that they've submitted. We, again, are posting all the Ignite slides in our community site. So please take a look at that site and keep your eyes and ears on that. We're going to have more of these based on the different topics with various different Fluxxperts as time goes on. So keep your eye on the community site for the scheduling that as well. We also have our every 2 weeks our training webinars that are around some of the admin basics as well as the more complex topics and issues that you guys are running across. In that, the scheduling for that, you can find that in the community site from a post from myself, Sean Garrison. Also in our knowledge base under training, There's a link in there as well that allows you to submit what you want to have a training webinar on. So we're really good at kind of seeing what's out there, what's needed to share with everybody. So I really appreciate all the suggestions thus far and encourage you to continue providing those. But I do want to really thank, again, our Fluxxperts for joining today. So Tom, thank you very much. Carly, thank you again very much. And Katina, thank you as well. So with that, I'm just going to do a quick double check. Doesn't look like we have anything else that snuck in. So we will go ahead and wrap this up for now. And again, thank you all. All right. Have a great one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.